Welcome back. We're live in Omaha, Nebraska, and we are speaking with Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and now Vice Chair of Berkshire Hathaway, Charlie Munger. Nice to have you. This is like the Tonight Show, where we have the three guys. Bill moved over. Thank you for making the move there. Charlie, we don't often get to hear from you, so this is a real treat. I want to know, going back 50 years, what it was like when you first met Warren. Was it kismet instantly?
Yes.
What did you think of him?
Well, I thought he was a prodigy. And I got a lot of criticism. My wife said, "Why are you paying such enormous respect to that young man with a crew cut who won't eat vegetables?" And I said, "That's no ordinary young man."
What was it about him that indicated to you
His
that
mind
he was...
works right. It's not that common in this world.
He'd worked in my grandfather's grocery store, as had I, but we were at different ages, and a friend brought us together, and this friend thought it either produced fireworks or produce a great friendship, and produced a great friendship.
Well, the age issue, you guys tease each other a lot about your age. Charlie, you're 85. Warren's the young whippersnapper at 78. Do you feel 85? It's so interesting to watch you work and talk.
Well, I have a duty. I have to give people hope that Warren has 7 more good years in him. So I should not deteriorate any faster than I have to.
Charlie, at 85, is encyclopedic about almost everything. His scope of intellect goes over a much broader piece of geography than mine. I mean, I'm very focused on business and economics, stock market, and that sort of thing. And you can talk to Charlie about almost any subject.
How often do you guys speak on the phone?
Well, not so much now as we used to, because we already know what the other one thinks.
Yeah. No, we sort of grunt at each other like an old married couple, or something of the sort.
But I resent being accused of maintaining my wits. I am a much better golfer than Tiger Woods. I have now shot my age 3 times, and that guy isn't even close.
I knew he'd work it into the conversation somehow.
I mean, he isn't even close.
I'd have to live to be 150 to shoot my age, and then I'd have to cheat.
One thing you do, Charlie, though, is you push Warren to go outside his investment strategy. Sometimes you recently got him to do something he doesn't like to do, and that is invest in a company he didn't fully understand, and that was the Chinese electric car company, BYD. How did you convince him, and was he resistant to putting money into that?
Well, it's not his natural inclination. But I didn't really convince him. The facts convinced him. What BYD has already done is ridiculously difficult to do, and they've done it anyway. So it's a very remarkable company, and Warren can see that from the numbers.
I'll tell you, when Charlie he called me from Rochester, and he was describing Wang Chunfu, the fellow that runs it, and he said, "He's another Henry Ford." And I didn't move. He said, "He's another Thomas Edison." I still didn't move. He said, "He's another Bill Gates." I said, "Put me in."
Bill, would you buy a BYD car if you had the opportunity?
Well, I think, BYD's got a very interesting car. We all had a chance to drive it over the weekend.
You can't hear anything because it's electric. Does that freak you out a little bit?
Well, they might have to put some extra noise in just so pedestrians know that you're coming.
Sure.
But it's, it accelerates well, and their progress is quite impressive.
Charlie, have you ever told Warren when he calls you with something where he wants to commit a great amount of capital, "Warren, that's a stupid idea and we're not doing it"?
You would be surprised how seldom that happens, but once or twice I've spoken up so firmly on a preemptive basis.
For example?
Well, I don't want to give examples.
Well, if he just says that's a stupid idea, I take that as a green light, actually. when he says that's, he says, "I'm going to have you committed," then I start, that back off a little bit.
Charlie, you have spoken at these meetings a couple of years now, because I remember a couple of years ago you said for us not to harness the sun, the wind, and the sea is not an intelligent thing, that we should go ahead and do that. Does Warren feel the same way? And would you be looking at companies in that realm? For example, we've got the smart grid and solar. Do those types of companies interest you in this early stage of their development?
Well, the companies don't interest me very much, but the field interests me enormously. it's perfect obvious that mankind should harness the sun enormously more than we have in the past. And it's perfect obvious that we should have a much better electricity grid. And I can now see those things coming on pretty fast, and I like that.
We don't usually try to pick winners in fields like that, though. Something like that it's very hard to pick the winners in, but we think society has a big interest in it being developed. But we would not have been probably able to pick the winning auto company, 100 years ago.
But Bill, these are different ways of doing business in the high tech world, in the .com and online world. It's just get in, first in wins, scoop it up if there's a chance, even in the nascent stages.
Well, I'm not sure it's really who's first. There are some people who have the right characteristics. And when Charlie met Wan Zhongfu, he thought, hey, this is a person who's got those characteristics. The culture of the company is right. They're on the learning curve. And so it's a bet on that person. I doubt that Berkshire will find so many of those that its portfolio will be heavily technology oriented. But, when you find them, it's great to go for it.
Berkshire has significant positions in newspapers. So this is to the two board members sitting here, Buffalo News and the Washington Post. This is not an expanding and growth sector now. Obviously, newspapers are in big trouble. Is there a point where you turn to Warren and say, this is a shrinking sector, it's not working anymore, we need to get out? Charlie?
Well, Warren already knows that. We don't need to talk about what we already both know. But we have this system that we have some investments where we don't discard them just because they're declining. So we aren't perfect Jen Rummy type capitalists that are just always discarding, always adding. We have some things that we're faithful to. We're married, so to speak. And we're married to these things, and we will play out the hand.
At our age, we have to be somewhat tolerant of declining curves. I mean, you have to understand that. We think a body in decline is to be admired.
Right.
Bill?
Particularly if they're handling it well.
Well, the Washington Post, of course, is a great company with the newspapers and many other things, and they're looking at how they can move into the new world. They're doing some very interesting things. Buffalo News, I think, has handled the challenges working with their unions, figuring out how to push forward as well as any newspaper company. And this idea of being loyal to the companies that you buy 100% of, that's part of the Berkshire franchise. And people who create companies really value the commitment that gets made.